My name is Drew Taylor. I live in Castleberry, Florida, and I'm with my good friend, Andy Searles.
And we are here to host what may well be, we don't know, we're figuring out our first full edition of What's Up Castleberry. I am wondering, Drew, how many times we will do the Budweiser "What's up" kind of thing as part of our intro. Hopefully not too many.
That is not how we got the name for this podcast, but it does appropriately fit, I think, the flow, the dynamic, the vibe we're going for. This is a casual conversation about topics in the community in which we live.
Yeah, we want to know what's happening in our city. We want to share what's happening in our community with you in the hope that as we do, we can come together as a community. We can grow stronger, do more, and just strengthen the infrastructure of who we are.
That's right. Well, Andy, I know you fairly well, and many in our city of Castleberry do know you well. Could you tell us a little bit about yourself and about your involvement in the city of Castleberry?
Yeah. So my family and I have lived in Castleberry since we first became a family. Tracy and I married in 2000. We are celebrating our 20th anniversary this year.
Wow.
Yeah.
Very exciting.
We booked a little cruise just last week to celebrate that.
Nice.
We have two kids, both of which have only ever lived in Castleberry. They've been through our Castleberry school system. I lead a church in Castleberry, and I run the Castleberry streets most days. But I'm always discovering something new about the city as well. And I think that's part of our city's charm, that there's always things that we can learn, places we can go that we haven't been before. And I look forward to exploring some of those with you.
That's awesome, Andy. And I know in addition, we'll learn and discuss over time how you and I both are involved in various organizations and nonprofits and just want to see Castleberry really flourish, really shine. And we love the people there. For me, I'm a little bit newer of a resident. My wife and I moved to Castleberry just over 3 years ago. We live just a stone's throw away from Dewdrop Park and right behind the elementary school there. And over the course of our years in Castleberry, we've kind of met folks who are wonderful, who have lived in Castleberry for many, many years, as well as those who are like
Not
us.
wonderful?
Everyone we've met is wonderful.
In their own way.
That's right. But having married someone who is from Winter Springs in Seminole County, it was interesting to kind of hear what the expectation or what sort of the narrative was about Castleberry, and then from the outside, and then coming in to live for ourselves. And what I have found to be joyfully true is that Castleberry feels very much like home to my wife.
So talk a little bit about that narrative, right? There was an external narrative about Castleberry. What was that? What's the internal narrative that you've discovered that is perhaps different from that?
Sure. Well, like our name, Castleberry, there's obviously, it's kind of human nature, I think, to make fun, poke fun, tweak things. I've heard Hassleberry for the busyness of the streets. I've heard Trashleberry. This was obviously, before having lived and interacted with residents of our city. And I think there was this perception that we're very much a drive-through community, that there was no reason to stop, to visit, to engage with the city itself, but rather Castleberry serves as sort of a thoroughfare to get onto I-4, 1792, 436, to get to wherever you are going. And so that appeared to be sort of the narrative from an outsider's perspective, that the city really does not have much in terms of redeeming culture and value. Andy, what would you say you've noticed?
I'd heard that too. But again, my experience has been completely different. I think Castleberry is a community-orientated city. It's somewhat of an oasis in a very busy region. Lots of great places to walk and to connect. The city does an incredible job of hosting events that bring people together. And yeah, it hasn't lived up to its reputation. And I think one of the things, Drew, that I'd love to do through this podcast is to reframe the reputation of Castleberry, that we are a city that's got a lot going on. There are some good things ahead, and we want to harness those and engage in those and help others connect with our city as well.
That's right. Some of the things that we plan on discussing over the course of this podcast for each episode will be things like the beauty of our parks. We really are uniquely equipped with some lakes and walking trails. I just did a quick Google search before we jumped on today, and several of the top hits for Castleberry are regarding things like Secret Lake Park and Lake Concord and just natural, beautiful pieces of property right here tucked away in our city that perhaps people that are outside the city limits aren't even aware that they're there. We hope to highlight regarding our schools and just the growth and development of education that has really set the bar high here in Seminole County, as we've seen our local schools improve dramatically. And then just talk about things regarding city development and getting the community kind of involved as a whole.
Sure, and activities that are coming up, places where people can connect. We'd love to answer some questions about the city. One of the things we discover is that there's a lot of folks who have questions. Where do you find this? Where do you find that? And we don't know all the answers, but we'll happily try and find out, and hopefully we can share some of those answers with you. As we progress, one of the things that we'd like to do is to have some guests on our show, realizing that we, as our listeners may be, that we may be not the most engaging hosts. We'll have to see. So hopefully we can bring some guests on who can add some life and some insight that we won't be able to provide as well. So hopefully that will be a regular feature of what we're doing as well. So just before we move on to today's topic, Drew, tell us how people can connect with us.
Yeah, so we have a Facebook page called What's Up Castleberry. You can find us on Facebook. You can also download this podcast through Apple, through all the podcast mediums. And we're in the process of developing a website. We don't have a website just yet, but those would be the two main ways: going to your phone's podcast app and looking and searching for What's Up Castleberry, or our Facebook page, What's Up Castleberry.
That's right. And if when you go to your podcast subscriber, if you could hit subscribe,
yes,
that would help us track how we're doing and build what we're doing. And that's another way that you can communicate with
so
us.
far, my mom and my dad are subscribers. Thank you, parents. But we want to obviously get the word out to those in our city. I was thinking a goal, Andy. The number is around 26,000 residents in Castleberry. Mm-hmm. How cool would it be to have 26,000 subscribers? That may be aiming for the moon and way too high, but I think it's possible.
I think so too. I mean, I'll get my kids signed up
there you
and
go.
My wife signed up. That'll take us close to double figures. So we'll see where we can go. But everyone's got to start somewhere, right?
That's right. Well, one of the things that we really wanted to talk about during our initial episode is just why we feel that this podcast is necessary. What are we trying to accomplish during the time during our conversations? As Andy mentioned, we'll talk about guests, we'll talk about lots of different themes. I think for both Andy and I, being pastors here locally and being involved in things regarding the community of Castleberry, one thing that we found that we really feel like we have a unique platform in is to really discuss and bring clarity to some issues and some realities of life in Castleberry as a resident. One thing that in particular is unique to where we live is the city is quite accessible. Andy and I, right? We've found that we've been able to foster relationships with our local city officials, with our police department, with the schools, with the city employees, and even the nonprofit world and the religious community. And so to that end, we feel like we're kind of uniquely equipped to be able to highlight and talk about different things from our unique perspective as being citizens of our city and really for our city.
Yeah, and any kind of community exists on relationships, and relationships exist on communication. And if there's anything that we can do through this podcast, through some of the other mediums that we create to aid communication, to join the dots, to let people know what's happening, to let those who are leading things communicate with a bigger group of people, then we want to be about that. Our hope is that this just becomes a crucial communication medium that connects the good people of Castleberry with the great activities of Castleberry.
That's right. And to that end, Andy, regarding communication, one thing that is unique to our story is the partnerships that our churches have had with other churches in the community and with the city and its citizens. We're very, not trying to toot our own horn here, but we're very proud to have been a part of a team that has put together some really cool events. Perhaps you're listening and you can recall here in Castleberry at Secret Lake Park and at Lake Concord, events like the community Easter egg hunt or the Funtoberfest, or perhaps you were involved in a serve day, a cleanup day, neighbor to neighbor, where we were helping citizens in the city. We are really proud of the fact that we've been able to come alongside and in some small way serve the city, but also that the city has been open and receptive to receiving help and allowing channels and avenues for the citizens of Castleberry to serve the needs of others here.
Yeah, it just feels like there's a lot going on in our city, and there's a lot of opportunities for people to get involved and to make a difference, and to squash some of those negative reputations that you had before you moved into the city.
That's right.
So if we can do that as well, that's great. Who knows, maybe this bombs after one episode, but we're going to have fun, and we hope you have fun joining us as well. So on to a little bit of business. Like we said, normally we're going to have some guests that we will interview, and we'll let you know who they are through our Facebook page, and we'd love for you to submit questions for them. But on our first trial, we thought that we would spend a little bit of time just scrolling through the computer and through some of the Facebook groups about Castleberry, and just trying to see some of the things that other people are saying about Castleberry, seeing if we've got a perspective on them, and maybe there's some questions that have been asked about the city, and maybe we can have a stab at some of those as well.
That's right. And so I'm over here on my laptop, Andy, clicking on some things like when I did an initial Google search of Castleberry, the first couple of questions regards Castleberry's location. How close are we to Orlando, downtown Orlando? And is Castleberry a safe place? I thought that was an interesting question.
Those are two great questions.
Yeah.
Why don't we take those? So
Absolutely.
How far are we from downtown Orlando?
Well, it depends on how fast you drive. Some of us, drive the speed limit.
Well, and it depends how you get there. If you try to go down I-4, that can be a 20-minute journey, or that can be a 2-hour journey until they finish that project there. But I tend to budget about 25 minutes if I'm going downtown.
Yeah, that's right. If you're not familiar where Castleberry is located, we're sort of in the northeast quadrant of Orlando. So just immediately surrounding us are the suburbs of Winter Springs and Oviedo, Longwood,
Maitland, and Winter Park.
And Winter Park, that's right. So we're tucked in, nestled in right amongst those communities. But like Andy said, about 20 to 25 minutes based on I-4 traffic, or 1792 is another major thoroughfare from our city to downtown. So I know lots of friends and folks in our city that work downtown, or even work further west in the parks, the theme parks area, and they can get there very easily living in Castleberry. Regarding the question of the safety of the city, that is a question that I think is probably universal as people look to move or make their residence take a place to call home. I can only imagine you want, and rightfully are so concerned about, what's the demographics, what's the safety like in our city. One thing I've noted immediately right off the bat is the amount of new development that is happening. We're currently sharing this episode from East Lake Drive at Willow Creek Church, and immediately as I look out the window, East Lake Drive becomes Seminola, there are new developments, new housing projects going in, both condominiums and single-family homes, which to me is a very encouraging sign.
Well, I think so too, and a lot of that's because of the new school, the Geneva School that's come in and built out some incredible property there, and I'd encourage anyone to take a walk around that. It's really nice. It's always positive when you see new development within a city, because that says something's happening, something's moving, and something's growing. And of course, when new development comes in, there are positive tax implications for a city, which allow the city to do more and things like that. And one of the things that the city does, to answer your question, is they do a good job of keeping us safe. I don't have the crime statistics in front of me, but I do have a good relationship with the chief of police, who's doing an incredible job. And one of the things that they are celebrating in our police department is that every year our crime statistics are going down.
That's right.
And I think that's partly because we have a very engaged, community-minded police department who thinks strategically about the community and about keeping us safe. And I think their efforts over the last few years have really made this a much safer place to live and to work and to play. I know I was in Baltimore last week, and as soon as I got there, there was places that I was told and could perceive that you shouldn't go there. I don't think places like that exist in Castleberry. From my early morning runs or my late evening bike rides, there's not a lot of places I would go where I wouldn't feel safe in the city.
Absolutely. To that end, regarding the police, just one quick comment. Typically, folks can think of the police force in different lights. But one thing that's really unique here in Castleberry is the public events that our police force puts on. I know, Andy, you have been a part of the community night out. Our police force comes alongside children and works with those in our community that perhaps wouldn't have the opportunity, for example, to go fishing. One of our little local parks, Secret Lake Park, our kids have a big fishing tournament with our police officers. And it actually has been really exciting and really comforting, frankly, as a citizen of Castleberry, to know that our police are out there, they're visible, they're seen, and they're accessible. They're easy to talk to.
Yeah, I think one of the hard things about being involved in the police department, I imagine, is that they are always responding to things. And when they're responding to things, they're meeting people at their worst. And one of the things I love about our department is that they're trying to be proactive, right? They're saying, how can we serve our community? What are the needs in the young people and the youth that we can connect with? How can we not just put a positive face on our police department, but how can we involve our community in doing our job, right? Because it's all of our responsibility to look out for that which isn't right. We all have a role to play, and our police department is really trying to foster that. And I think that bodes well for the city and helps keep all of us safe.
Yeah, that's right. We're going to answer lots more questions regarding what people outside our community are asking and those that are inside our community are asking. One final thing I think that would be encouraging as we kind of wrap up for this initial episode is just what's the next thing? What's something? It's January 2020. If you're listening live, what is kind of the next interesting event, Andy? What's something fun that we can look forward to regarding Castleberry if you're a citizen or coming to visit us?
Sure. Well, there are all kinds of things going on. The school has lots of projects, both our schools. I know our churches, Drew, we're working on some exciting projects coming up. The city has got a full calendar for this year with concerts and things like that. But one of the things that I'm really looking forward to is that the city of Castleberry has just put together a Citizens Academy, which is coming up. I believe it starts in March. All the details are on the city website.
That's right.
But over a few weeks, one evening a week, I think it's 6 or 7, they're going to take a group of citizens, and anyone can apply, around different elements of the city and introduce us to how things work. I've signed up. I'm looking forward to that and looking forward to learning about some of the things that make a city work that we don't normally think are necessary to make a city work. So if you're interested in that, you can go to the city's website, castleberry.org, and there's some information there and you can sign up. And that's one thing that I'm really looking forward to. And again, I commend our city government for saying, hey, we're part of a community and we want our community to be part of us.
That's a great highlight. And I'm also going to be a part of that Citizens Academy. We'd love to meet you and talk to you there. Again, go to the website of the City of Castleberry. Is it City of Castleberry?
.org, or is it just Castleberry.org?
I think it's Castleberry.org.
We should really know this. We're kind of positioning ourselves as these experts, air quotes, and we don't even know the website yet. So we'll get there.
You can Google it, right? That's what Google's for.
That's right.
One quick thing I'll highlight as we close out is the upcoming Mardi Gras event at Lake Concord. I think that's February the 22nd. Our city comes together. We have a lot of fun at the public park, Lake Concord, right there off 1792. And it's going to be a free event. There's lots of food and fun. It's very family oriented there. So check it out. February 22nd, the Mardi Gras event that the city of Castleberry is putting on. Andy, as we close out, can we get some subscribers, please?
That's right. Go to your podcast provider, hit the subscribe button, and sign up now. Again, this is, we realize we're amateurs. We realize this is our first episode, but we are committed to get better. We're committed to serving you, and we're committed to doing all we can to help our city move forward. So if you would like us on Facebook, if you would submit a question or a comment or a review, that would be incredibly helpful for us as we try to build. Especially, we'd love to hear who you would like us to interview and any questions that you have for them as well. So I think that's probably about it for our first episode. Anything else, Drew? There's a couple of folks we need to say thank you to.
Absolutely. We'd like to thank Jeremy Birdsall, a Castleberry citizen who created the intro and outro music you've heard. We also like to thank local pastor Christian Moscosko for creating the logo design, What's Up Castleberry. And
a big thanks to James Butner, who is editing for us and hopefully making us sound somewhat decent.
James, can you make me sound, somewhat, I have the deep voice, like somebody, really strong, and don't know if that's possible, but
funny.
Thanks, James. Hey, thanks so much for listening to episode 1. We'll be back soon. What's up, Castleberry? Have a great day.